Welcome to Impact the World, a podcast from West Park Baptist Church in Knoxville, Tennessee. This is where we discuss topics related to how we can all love God, love people, and impact the world. Here's your host, Tara Hayes.
I'm your host, Tara Hayes, and today I get to sit down for a fun conversation with Pastor Sam and Jake Bishop. How are you guys doing this morning?
Doing great. It's good to see you.
Good.
You
Good to
doing
be
well,
here.
Jake? Good.
Absolutely.
Always
good when I'm on Impact the World.
As we joke, Jake is my
You've been on before?
I am the co-host.
He's the unofficial, official co-host of Impact the World.
Right.
But we've got a lot of great things happening at West Park. We just came off of VBS, which was an amazing week.
It was outstanding.
Yeah,
Really
it was really good.
Yeah.
So we're kind of in summer, but we're looking to the future because there's
Right.
some great things that are happening. And most people have heard, but if not, this is a great place for them to hear about. We have a big change coming starting August 4th in our service times. And I'm just going to lay it out there. So give us a general overview of what's happening on August 4th.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Yeah, okay.
It's the first I've heard about that.
Yeah,
What's
there we
going
go.
on?
Well, here's
We're changing?
here's what we're doing. Yeah, so if you don't know, we've currently, probably for about last 3 years, we've had two services that go on at the same time. So one in the auditorium, one in the hub. They both start at 10:30. That will continue through the summer. But then August 4th, we'll make this transition to where we go two services back to back, both in the auditorium, which is something that's new, but not new because West Park did it for how many
I was going
years?
to say, wait a minute.
Yeah, I think in my 37 and a half years now, I think we've been in multiple service 34
Okay.
of those 37 and a half.
gonna say.
So if you're-
some expression of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people are new to the church, so it may feel new to you. It's something we've done. The one thing that would be different about this is that the services will look a little bit different. So what we've been doing in the hub, we'll talk about that. It's been growing. God's been blessing it,
Yeah.
and so this gives us an opportunity to get a bigger space.
Yeah.
And we can talk more about specifics there. But the 11 o'clock service will look more like what we've been doing in the hub. The 9:15 service, if you've been coming to the service in the auditorium, will be very familiar to you. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it's wonderful to need to do it because, for a lot of people that may be here in the last few years, the whole hub service was kind of connected a little bit to COVID coming back. We had to, kind of distance, and just for those issues, if some of us remember all that. I probably shouldn't even bring that up. But the idea from that came, we needed overflow. So the service in the hub just kind of started a little bit as an overflow service. And we did, we streamed in the message. And there was, a group of people just thought, well, this will be very helpful for a short season. But then it seemed to be like, okay, this has some potential as for continuing to grow. And about that time, Jake and Allie came back to be here. And so, Jake, you stepped in there. Probably how many people were there?
So it went away for a little while, and
Yeah.
then because it wasn't needed for a while, and then when we came back, so it would have been March. Well, we came back January 2021, and then March 2021, we started back in there. First Sunday, we had 36 people.
Yeah.
And part just to show what God's doing. I mean, we're routinely, I'm thinking the last few weeks, we're routinely well over 100 more than that in there, right? So 136 plus. So we're seeing a lot more people coming over the past 3 years.
Yeah. And so, God's just blessed that service with growth. And if anybody listening is familiar with the hub, you get 136 people.
Oh, it's tight.
Yeah. And then in our service over in the auditorium, God has blessed that with growth as well. And there have been many weeks in the springtime that we were at capacity.
Yeah.
Just about.
I mean,
every
people are
seat.
even fighting over front row seats
I know,
in a
I
Baptist
know.
church. What is happening?
When people start, if people are sitting on the front row, it's either Easter or revival has
Right.
broken out.
Yeah.
Something's
Right.
happened. No, but it has been crowded, and so we're doing this, responding, You know, I think it's always important you're responding to what God's doing, because we want to make room for the people that are not here yet.
That's right.
And of course, it would be easy to continue to do what we're doing. The folks in the hub love that, love the experience, the vibe. People in the auditorium love what's happening, and we're used to that. But there are so many people that God is bringing, and He is going to bring. And
Right.
so we need to make room for company.
Right.
And the best way to do that is to use the space that God's given to us. So, you know, having this 9:15 service, then a time for a little break, you know, fellowship in between the services, then 11 o'clock. I think it's going to be a great experience, and I think it's going to poise us so well for just what's going forward and reaching people.
Yeah. Well, I think that really helps for people to understand why we're doing it.
Yeah.
We're not just like, hey, let's change things up.
Right.
Or change that, because again,
Right.
we all love change. Some people do thrive on change, but you know.
Yeah,
but I think it's great. I think West Park, and I know you, Pastor Sam,
Yeah.
have continually reminded us we're not here for ourselves.
Right.
We're here for the people that God is going to bring
Right.
us, and the people that need His message.
That's exactly
And so
right.
we're creating room for that, and I think that's great.
Yeah, you know, a good way just thinking of it, in a sense, we're here for the people who are not here
Right.
yet. And, you know, I always go back, Paul was in Corinth, you know, and he shares, even as he writes 1 Corinthians, that, you know, it was challenging, but the Lord told him, Paul, you keep on preaching. Don't stop, because I have many people in the city.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as far as we know, it was him and Aquila and Priscilla, you know, maybe at that time. But the Lord already knew the people He was going to be bringing to Himself and to His fellowship. And it's that way in Knoxville. There are so many people who need to know Christ. We're grateful for all the churches that are sharing the gospel faithfully, but there is an unbelievable opportunity for us to continue to reach out to this ever-growing community.
Well, we've talked a lot about how many thousands of people we have within a short drive of West Park, and how many of them are unchurched, have no affiliation with a gospel preaching church.
Yeah. The 5-minute drive time that we regularly kind of refer to as our Cedar Brook, you know, our Jerusalem. There's 40,000 people live within 5 minutes.
Do you think we can fit all of them in 2 services? We might have to go to 3.
Maybe,
Thankfully,
one service at Neyland Stadium. You know,
there you go.
So,
And thankfully, as you said, there's a lot of good churches around here.
Yes,
5 minutes
that
here.
is true.
Yeah,
There are.
fellowship's
We don't have
helping
to have
and,
all
yeah.
40,000
no,
of
we
them.
don't. We don't. That's right. God is giving us a great opportunity. But, you know, you mentioned percentage. The last one I heard is, you know, we think we're the buckle of the Bible Belt. Really not the case. It's really only about 10% actually of the people in this community are actively engaged in a church. It's hard to imagine, but that's actually a study that was conducted not too many years ago about only 10%.
Wow.
And so
we got to make room for them.
right,
It's exciting.
we do. And so we're excited to do that. God's given us growth. He's Jake, we also have that baby boom that's kind of taking place, you know?
Yeah, I won't give a number because I don't want to out anyone, you know, on a podcast that doesn't want it public. But yeah, I mean, we were counting yesterday. It's somewhere in that probably 12, 13 range of, I think, babies coming in 2024 already have come. So that's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. Praise the Lord for the new nursery wing.
The nursery and the preschool wing and the children's building. All that's
greatly used.
Timed well.
Yeah.
So we're excited about it. I do think the 2 different services have a little bit different flavor to them, vibe to them, but they're still united in the same messages and same passage of Scripture. But it does offer 2 different kinds of experience of worship that I think is fine. And Jake, maybe you want to kind of talk a little bit about that.
So maybe you're wondering, okay, so we said that 9, 15, and 11 are different. What's that actually look like? So again, if you've been to the hub service, if you've been to the service in the auditorium currently, you kind of have a preview of what that's going to look like.
Right.
One thing that we've done over the past couple of years is this team teaching approach. So
I think it's been great.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I know our team has. And just so everyone knows who's listening, our process is every Wednesday we meet as a team. There's about 6 of us, 7 of us who come in and we'll open up the passage together. We'll talk about the sermon before, kind of go through that, but then talk about the passage that's coming up for that Sunday. The 2 preachers who are preaching will talk to each other and talk through it, and then we all give our feedback, things like that. So it really is a team approach where we know when the men get up to preach in both locations, we know that there's a unity there.
Yeah.
They're gonna. I mean, me and Pastor Sam are gonna say things differently and go about things a different way, but we're unified in the message that we're bringing and believe that we're faithfully preaching what the Word says. And so we're going to continue doing that. So you'll have most weeks a different preacher in that 9, 15, and 11 because we feel like it's been great to have those opportunities for different people and just have more time, just to be able to do that together as a team. So
I really like that approach myself, and I know a lot of people, they'll attend one service but go and listen to the other service.
Right.
Because even though it's a unified, you are getting the same biblical doctrine, the message, you get the different perspectives. And I think it helps you think about things in a different way. I think it's great.
I mean, you read that in the New Testament, you have the same gospel, the same doctrines that are shared. But, John's voice, Paul's voice, Peter's voice, they're different.
Yeah.
But that's makes it even more powerful in some ways. So I've been very, very pleased and encouraged. Having been the primary preacher for many, many years, I am so grateful for this team that God has raised up as such capable men, just really, especially the younger men who are just, I sit there and go, wow, that is just awesome. And I think that is really healthy for the church.
Yeah.
I really do, to see and hear voices that, yes, the same message, but, fresh perspective. It's even one thing we're going to be talking about. And I won't go into the series too much, but as we talk about, being this intergenerational church, that's one of the things that we want to celebrate and understand even more fully as we do this series in August, which goes along with the beginning of the 2 services. But, those that have been in the auditorium service, it's going to be the same, okay, in terms of, generally having the big praise choir and the small orchestra, the band. It varies a little bit. And then Jake in the service that comes at 11.
Yeah, so we have a band, and that's been an awesome thing that God's done. Where that started, I said, that first service, it was Daniel and Amy Thompson and a guitar, and that's all it was. And it was great, but it was just, and then slowly, God's been faithful to provide people and kind of fill the band out, and then now Isaac and Macy Depew have come in, and so Isaac is kind of taken that. Actually, as I'm talking here, so Dan and Amy are probably having a baby tonight. So it's going to give them a little bit of
By the time this podcast drops, they will be parents.
We hope that, they'll come back, but that will give them a little bit of a break. And then Isaac and Macy will be able to lead that well. So it's more of a typical kind of worship band, but a lot of really talented leaders who, more importantly, love the Lord and want to praise Him and glorify Him.
It's been fun to watch that grow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also going to change a little bit of our equipping class.
Well, that was going to be
schedule.
my next question.
Yeah,
because I know it's not just a service change; it's going to kind of rearrange a lot of things.
Yeah, and it might be good for us to kind of talk about it as a family ministry first, because a lot of people,
That's a big
my
question.
children, my students, where is that?
Yeah.
So, Jake?
Yeah, that's great. So, obviously when we did this, there's a lot of things that had
Moving
to change.
parts.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts once we decided to move this direction. And so we got a team together to really think through this. Most of the members of the family ministry team, myself, a couple others got together and really just kind of started putting all the different puzzle pieces up and trying to get them to fit together. And so what we decided, and then this was affirmed by the elders and all the other leadership, was with family ministries. So student ministry will meet at 9:15. So if you have a middle schooler or a high schooler, 9:15, which is their current time. So that doesn't change
Nothing
anything
changes
for
for
them,
them, yeah.
which is a good thing. So we want to, our big emphasis also was we didn't want to split families.
Yeah.
As much as, if you can keep middle school and high school at the same hour and we have the space to do it, that's a good thing because, it doesn't put parents in the situation of having to choose which kid they love more and, want to worship with. And, so.
Or the terror of sending them to worship on their own.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows what they might do. But 9:15 will be the time for middle school, high school to continue to do their community groups. Colin and Audra wanted to continue with that because they just see the momentum and just see what's happening there. And so that'll continue. And then kids will continue. They do 2 services already. So they offer kids ministry for the equipping classes and the service. So now it'll just be both the service times. They'll have kids ministry. So we're covered there.
Right.
And then equipping classes. We wanted to make sure that there were equipping classes offered for everyone. So the way we're going to do that is, and this will be, if you're listening to this podcast, maybe you saw the brochure that we handed out that had a QR code. So you can look more into this. This will all be on the website, more details. But basically, we're going to offer 4 equipping classes during the 9:15 hour, and then 2 equipping classes during the 11 o'clock hour. The reason for that is because, first of all, James Lynch will be teaching his equipping class at 11. And James draws a big crowd because James is the man. So we know that's gonna be a larger class. It always has been. And so
that's the third service.
Third service.
There we go.
That's right.
So James that's gonna be great. And so he's gonna teach a class on biblical wisdom. So teaching through Proverbs, talking about that. I think it's gonna be great. So that'll be at 11. Also at 11, there will be a second class that we're offering that I'm really excited about. It's going to be going through Bible doctrine, so taking different questions about the Christian faith. What is the Trinity? What did Jesus accomplish through his life, death, and resurrection? Just go down the list, going through some of the stuff we talk about in training program, things like that. But we're going to team teach that as a group of elders and leaders in our church.
That'll
So
be
you'll hear mostly different teachers every single week. People are coming and kind of choosing topics they're passionate about and teaching on those. So I think that'll be 2 really great
class.
things at 11.
Very needed.
Yeah. I was a little upset because, some of the guys went and cherry-picked their topics before I got an opportunity.
You didn't even get to pick your favorite topic.
So,
I don't even think you get Image of God, and you wrote the book. Like, what in the world?
You
like, what are we
literally
doing
wrote
here?
the book.
I know. I'm like saying, what do you know about the image?
You're like, I'm the expert's not even teaching on it.
Wow.
So, but I think that's going to be great. And then at 4, we have 4 classes at 9:15, and so those will be, Joe Capel's going to teach one on how to study the Bible. Al Cage teaching on HeartWise, which
That's
has
a
been
great
one
class.
that, and if you haven't heard about HeartWise, Al will be calling you to recruit you to
That's
come
right.
take HeartWise.
Right.
If you've ever stepped foot into West Park, Pastor Al will call you about something.
Right.
So, we have one also the second half after Joe. I'm excited about this one. Neil Arwood's going to be teaching a class for the first time on how the gospel affects how we work. So if you've wondered, what does it mean? Okay, I'm a Christian. I'm a follower of Jesus. What does that mean for how I work and what I do? That'll be a great class.
That's great.
Rich and Maggie McKinney are going to be teaching on marriage, which they're. I think they are experts at that and marriage and parenting, and that's kind of been their class that they've taken the last few years, and it's wonderful. So consider that one. And then what is the last one that I'm? Oh, okay. Sorry, Paul. Paul Waymeyer, and then Jeff Wiggs will be teaching a class on engaging the world. So we got a lot of really great options coming up here in the fall. So
That sounds great.
Yeah, I think it's going to give people. Again, there's a variety of opportunities, and really look forward to it. Opportunities for service too. I think one thing I thought we should talk about is that this change gives us also need of some people to come forward, maybe and help us in some areas, because when you do multiply in the same area, it takes
Yeah.
some more folks. So we're really in need of some folks that might be interested in helping out in the tech side. If you have those skills for the 11 o'clock service in particular, folks that are just like people, love to greet people. That's a huge, very important ministry. Is
It is.
people
Makes
who
a
are
difference.
their first experience as they walk in, to be greeted well and helped find a place and just connected as quickly as possible. So we need greeters, people that can help with the ushering, and all those things go with it. So also back in the wonderful family ministry with this baby boom,
Yes.
folks that just love discipling children and being part of that, whether on a rotation basis. These are some real opportunities, and I hope some of the folks are listening and think about this is a season for me to
step
step up and
get involved,
serve.
Well, I'm sure we'll be promoting all of those opportunities and ways to get involved, and I think it is a good way or a good time for you to maybe try something like, hey, I've never served in this way, and this is a need, and I think the Lord's tapping me in there.
Yeah, and I'll pick up on the baby boom thing. I mean, even if you don't love being with children, you can really serve in an amazing way. Just being willing to take a service here and there, maybe once a month, and just go hold a baby.
Yeah.
And because what it does
Right.
is, I mean, it allows these parents to go worship and not have to worry that they're, what's going on with their child. So, not everyone has that deep calling to, be with the kids, but it's a wonderful way to serve your fellow church members just by being in there with them so that they can go and worship.
Yeah,
So,
it is. Yeah. Well, this is exciting.
I think it is, and I hope people know that when you make change, we always find places. Oh, that's stretching us a little bit. How dare that person be in my seat?
What?
Or some of the folks I've seen are now in the other service. However, I think again, as you remember the mission, is to minister to other people, to welcome other people. This is see this as a positive, growth and movement forward and it is, but I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. West Park over the years has developed, I think, a culture of embracing change, not change just to change, as we talked about, but it is helpful for the ministry. It's helpful for the mission of the church, and I am so grateful for our congregation that has really embraced that. I remember years ago going to a conference, and I mean, when I say years ago, for me, it's years ago. And the speaker was sharing there about a culture of change, and he said, as you're able to make small changes as necessary, he said, there'll come a time when you can't put the date on the calendar, but your church will have a culture of change, that it expects change and embraces change rather than resist change. And when I heard that, I thought, well, back then I was thinking I don't think he's pastoring where I'm pastoring. But the reality is that has happened, and I think West Park really reflects that. And I'm very, very grateful that if we understand the reason and it aligns with our mission, hey, this is no big sacrifice.
And I think for me personally, one thing I just keep reminding myself, God didn't call me or us to be comfortable and just to kind of be status quo. And he's calling us to be more like his son. And it sometimes is uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I think what also I think is important for all of us to remember as a church is that actually having two services that are united as one body. Okay, we have one doctrinal statement. We are one people. We have one leadership of the elders, but having different expressions of worship that are not just exactly the same are actually really effective in reaching a diverse culture. Our culture is diverse. It's changing. And being able to offer the same message, the same gospel, but offer in a way that relates to people more effectively, it's a positive thing. And I'm grateful that even these last over 3 years
After 3
now,
years.
I think I just really proud of our church family and how they've embraced that. And I think this is just the next step of it to make us more effective in being the West Park that is poised to minister to this culture and this generation. You know, we thank God for all He's done in the past.
Yeah.
I think it's been quite a ride, but I am so excited for now and what's ahead.
Yeah.
And I think this puts us in a real posture to see God do amazing things.
Yeah.
And I'll pick up on that because something I've been thinking about is like talking to some people, especially who've been in the hub. They talk about this kind of mixture between a lot of excitement and then some sadness.
Yeah.
I said that's a good thing. To not be sad when change comes is to not actually have gratitude towards what God has done.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we need
That's
to
true.
acknowledge like the last 3 years. Yeah, He's done some amazing things. So it is this. When a new season comes, we can be excited and sad that, oh man, okay, that season's over. We're moving into a different one. But yeah, that's okay. Like let's praise God for what He's done.
Right.
It's okay to be a little sad, but also there's a
Absolutely.
lot to be excited about. And He is. I've said this. Like this is not. I can say honestly before everyone who listens to this, like this is not something that we are forcing. This feels like a wave we're riding, where it just feels like something that God is doing. And we're just trying our best to be faithful to what He's calling us to, and I think we're getting that right, and we're humbly trying our best just to go. You talk about Proverbs 3 all the time, just to follow the steps that He is.
As He makes the path, he levels the path, He makes it straight. Just keep walking that, and I really sense that in this season. So looking forward to it.
Well, I'm excited.
Yeah.
And I think this will help everybody else be excited about what's happening and look forward to.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that, Jake, that it's okay to be a little, I'll miss that. Because it's so funny.
Absolutely.
I look back, I've been here a long time too, Pastor Sam. And I look back over the many years of, I kind of enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But I'm more excited about what God is doing and who He's bringing.
Right.
And how can you not be excited when you see the lives that are changed? I mean, there are some
Absolutely.
amazing stories that are happening in our church. And
A long time ago, I think if you stay someplace a long time, you have to be very, very careful that you don't look back more than you look forward and look around.
Yeah.
However, you also do look back. The Bible tells us to look back and to celebrate those mighty works of God and to thank Him, for what He's done. And so I do look back at seasons.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a word that the Lord, I feel like, gave me. Like there's different seasons in a church, okay? Because a church is not just brick and mortar. It's people. It's the people here now, the people that He is bringing, the people that have finished their race and gone to be with the Lord. Just to have these seasons, but it's always a season of God's grace. It's always a season of God's doing new things, fresh things all the time. And just to embrace that and celebrate that.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's a better way to close this.
Okay.
But I think this is a great explanation, and I'm excited to see how God continues to use this.
Amen.
And then in a few years, we may sit down and say, It's a different season, another season. But this is great. I appreciate you guys taking the time to sit down with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking a listen, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Impact the World. To find out more about West Park Baptist Church in Knoxville, Tennessee, visit westparkbaptist.org.